Hello everyone and welcome to Cinderful Gaming. I hope you're all doing well, I hope you're all staying safe, and most of all, I hope you're all fighting that war against the Grey. Today's video, we're going to be doing a Start Collecting Age of Sigmar 3rd Edition video for you, and we're going to be looking at the Gloomspite Gitz, and in particular, the Spiderfang part of the army. In this video, what we hope to do is we hope to sort of give you an idea of what this army can do on the tabletop and how it acts on the tabletop. We're then going to look at how we can start to purchase this army, what units to grab first to start off our army, and then how we can expand that force that we initially get with other units throughout the range available to this particular army and this particular theme of army that we are doing. And then at the end of the video, we'll give you a little sample army list so you can sort of see how one of these armies can go together. You can get your own ideas to start to put your own list together, or indeed copies ours straight off the page if that's what you want to do. But first of all, let's get cracking. So the first thing to talk about is obviously what does this army do? So this army is pretty fast. For starters, you got decent movement on all your troops. Most of your stuff is cavalry or monsters, which is really cool, and you've got some cool movement abilities here. So one of the cool movement abilities you have is a lot of your spiders get to ignore terrain as if they had fly. This is really cool. Effectively, it's just the spiders like wall crawling over everything. And so this can really help in the movement phase. It gives you, your movement goes a lot further when terrain is not something that matters to you. Now, on top of this, you've also got some cool units that can deep strike. You can actually deep strike Arachno spiders, which are the giant spiders available to the faction, which is really, really cool. Now, obviously, with spiders, you would expect them to have poison, and, well, they do. You've got a great mortal wound output in the army. Most of the army has mortal wounds of some variety, whether 1 or D3, etc., on the hit roll of a 6 or wound rolls. And you've also got the ability of the Light of the Bad Moon to increase that to 5 ups, really making your units that are quite effective. Your spiders, your gargant ones, your Arachno spiders, aren't quite cheap for monsters their size. They're cheap, effective, they've got a decent save, they've got a decent amount of wounds, and they can pack out a decent amount of damage as well. And they can also be wizards and heroes, which means you're obviously going to get access to everything that makes hero monsters great. Things like Finest Hour, the ability to use all that defense on themselves, and of course you've got monstrous rampages through all of these monsters as well. So you've got a bunch of great things here you can use for your Spiderfang army. Now that we've talked a little bit about that though, let's talk about the Grimscuttle tribe, because the Grimscuttle tribe is a sub-faction specifically made for Spiderfang. And so on this you get the Death Grots of Shaiish, where you get some spell ignore throughout your entire army, which is cool. And you've also got Drawn to the Aetherglow. We can reroll hit rolls against wizards or priests as well. Another great little rule there as well. Just sort of giving you a nice bit of flavour, but you know, a lot of these big monsters in the game are wizards. A lot of people are taking the wizard's hat to make models wizards, so this is a really cool rule to have for your spider riders. And so, where to get started with your Spiderfang army? Well, the first unit I recommend picking up for your Spiderfang is the Scuttle Boss on a Gargantuan Spider. This is a cool little combat hero. He's also not as many points and not as expensive model-wise as grabbing an Arachno as your first purchase, though you definitely could grab one of the Shaman variety. I reckon as a great hero for your force, but I reckon the Scuttle Boss will do just fine to start off with as your first purchase for the army. He's also got a decent sort of, I guess, attack profile. His mount's got, you know, some rend. He's got some rend as well with his spear. He's got the Spider Venom rule where he gets some mortal wounds on the attacks, Wall Crawler, and he's got, what I like about him the most though, is his Ride 'em all down command ability that he brings to your force. This is something that is unique to him. So he gets to pick one friendly Spiderfang Grot unit wholly within 18 inch of one of the models with this ability, so him, and you can reroll charge rolls for that unit in the charge phase, and in addition you can reroll hit rolls for attacks made with that unit's crooked spears in the following combat phase. This is nice, just going to throw a little bit of extra damage out of your grots in the units, a solid little command ability to make those spider riders work that little bit better, because of course the grots aren't generally going to do anything, so giving them rerolls to hit to get more attacks through is great, because the spiders really are going to be aiming for those mortal wounds. And talking of units to bring along, well, spider riders are the unit to grab first. These are your battle line option unit. They're a fantastic unit to use. So what we get with spider riders is pretty cool. So we get a decent movement on our spider riders, which is really nice, a movement of 10. Now remember that this completely ignores terrain when they move. They count as having fly, but this doesn't matter for other things as well. They've got spider bows as well, so each of them packs out 2 shots, 5s and 5s. It's not much, but it's enough little chip damage that you're hopefully going to weaken some screens and stuff like that as well, or potentially chip a couple of wounds off here and there. Their crooked spears are 5s and 4s, so of course you're seeing those rerolls to hit really come into it from the command ability of the Scuttle Boss. And then you've got some other cool abilities. So you add 2 to run rolls for any unit with any of the musicians in there. And you've also got add 1 to hit rolls for your boss in the army. And your totem gives you +2 bravery, which is really nice, considering you are a base bravery 4. So bumping you up to a 6 is really solid. What this unit does, though, is all about delivering those attacks with the spider's venom for the mortal wounds coming out from the spiders, which have 2 attacks each, which is really nice. Remembering, this hit goes on 6s. If they get a hit roll of a 6, they do a mortal wound instead, and the attack sequence ends. However, if you're under the light of the bad moon, this becomes a 5-up, which is really, really solid. And so, well, what else to grab for the army? Well, apart from grabbing some more Spider Riders, which is definitely something you want to do, it's really Arachnorocks at this point. But the Arachnorok has a ton of models within that kit, so it's got some different variations. First of all, you've got the Skitterstrand Arachnorok, which is just a plain Arachnorok, no grots on top at all. And this, what it has as a unique ability, is the ability to Deep Strike. Really cool. Being able to deep strike a monster is really great for completing some of the battle tactics within the games. Getting monsters in your opponent's territory can be really useful. It does have a rather large base, the big pie plate that it sits on, which can, I guess, make it easy for your opponent to zone out. But if you can get these back in your opponent's backlines, it's really solid. And then what's cool is you've got the Web Spitter Shaman as well on Arachnorok Spider. Now this has a ton of things to it. So, first of all, it's a wizard, which is really good, and it's got a really great spell with Venom of the Spider God. So this is a casting value of 6, which is pretty easy to cast. However, what this does is it doubles the amount of mortal wounds inflicted by a unit. This is great. And if you've got a casting roll of a 10 or more, it allows you to put this on D3 units. So trying to get some casting buffs off on this unit to get multiple of your spider units there doing double the amount of mortal wounds is really solid. The Spider Venom from the Arachnoroks as well in general is D3 on their 6s to hit with their fangs instead of 1, like the Spider Riders and the Scuttle Boss has. And it's also got the Catchweb Spider Shrine as well, where it gets to add 1 naturally, and it also gives this out to friendly wizards nearby. Now, speaking of wizards, you can actually, if you've not built the Web Spinner Shaman on top of your Arachnorok, you can actually put that on foot and get a foot version of the Web Spinner Shaman, which is nice. Definitely not as good as the Arachnorok. It is a lot more susceptible to dying, but if you've got a few points spare and want to get an extra wizard, having one of these floating around your Arachnorok with something like Blessing of the Spider God, which is a spell that can heal, is really nice. Now, the other options you've got is you've got your Arachnorok Spider, either with Flinger or the Spiderfang War Party. So the Flinger is a ranged attack, which gets 1 shot, and generally it's going to need a few different things. So hit, wound, rend, and damage is all based on its special rules here. Instead of using the normal attack profile, you roll a dice. You add 1 to the roll if it has 5 models, 2 if it has 10, and on 6+, the unit suffers D3 mortal wounds, is engulfed in sticky webs, and it fights at the end of the next combat phase. Pretty solid rule there. Spiderfang War Party is just a bunch of grots on top, really. That's its main thing that it's going to bring you. It's got the Voracious Predator rule where it can run and charge, which is solid. And on a 2+, after it's charged, an enemy unit is going to take D3 mortals. So all of these different Arachnoroks bring different things to the table. It's one of the best monster kits, I think, like this. It actually gives you some really versatile options with all these different models that are quite similar, but they'll all give you different things to do in the game. And so this is a little sample army list we put together for the Gloomspite Gitz, and in particular, we're going to be playing in the sub-faction known as the Grimscuttle Tribes. So this army is going to be from the mortal realm of Shaiish. That's just a little bit of narrative fluff there. Grimscuttle is from Shaiish. And then we've got the Grand Strategy Predator's Domain. This is really cool. We've got a lot of units that ignore terrain, being able to get around the board. We've got pretty fast units. This is a great Grand Strategy. A Triumph we've got here is Bloodthirsty. Rerolls to charge are going to be really useful. So we've got our Scuttle Boss on a Gigantic Spider here in the army, but he's not going to be our general. Instead, going to have the Web Spinner Shaman on Arachnorok Spider, and that's going to be our general. So we've got a Prophet of the Spider God, which is going to be our command trait. So once per battle in the combat phase, you can say the general and unleash their battle cry. If you do so, friendly Grimskeletal models are treated as being affected by the light of the bad moon. This is a really, really solid ability. Now, combining this with the Web Spinner Shaman and his spell that he can use to make mortal wounds double, double mortal wounds on 5s is really great. If you can get a 10 off in this particular turn, really cool. So what's great too about this is this command ability is used in the combat phase. So you can tag team this up well because you obviously roll for your spell first, and if you don't get the 10 plus in that turn, maybe save it for the next turn and try and get your 10 plus roll to get D3 units affected next time. And you've also obviously going to see where your bad moon is before this happens as well. So you're going to see, oh well, the bad moon's already in the middle of the table, so I don't need to use this yet. So definitely, and you wait for it to pass over. The artifact it's got is it's going to have the Shaishan Spider Sigils as its artifact. This, you subtract one from the bravery characteristic of enemy units within 6 inches of the bearer. In addition, you add one to the bravery of friendly Grimskeletal tribes within 12 inch. A nice little debuff and buff to your own units. Once again, this is meaning most of your Grot units, your Spider Raiders, are going to go up to bravery 7 in this model, which is, starting to get into the decent bravery sort of territory. And then for our battle line here, we've just gone a 1 unit of 10 and 1 unit of 5. You could certainly do, 3 units of 5 if that's what you want to. It would still fit entirely in the battle regiment we've put down here. But that's all options for you of what you want to do. And so lastly, as mentioned, it is all in a battle regiment, meaning we've got a 1-drop army. We're 50 points under, so that triumph is going to be very likely to achieve. 1 reinforced units, no allies, 50 wounds, which is pretty solid for a cavalry force. Once again, Grots just have a great ability to get a lot of models on the table, even when they're using their more elite troops. And as mentioned, it's in a battle regiment, so a 1-drop army. If you've been playing with Gloomspite Gitz, and in particular the Grimskeletal tribes or Spiderfang in general, let us know in the comments below how you've gone, how you found them in the new edition. All will be great information for anyone new getting into the army that loves these models. Well, that's the end of the video. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if you'd like to, you can come over and chat more with us here at Sinful Gaming and our fine little community over on Discord. You'll find a link to that Discord in the description of the video. Lastly, we'd like to give a shout out to everyone who helps support the channel via Patreon and YouTube members. And if you'd like to help support the channel via Patreon or YouTube members, you can do so by one of the links in the video's description once again. But a special shout out to all our patrons: Christian Weir, James, Soren, Chaos Spawn, AJC, Kenny Lyle, Outer and Shop First, Andrew Bowen, Nathan Fee, The Rising Ape, Cure Dynamic, Agu, Anthony B, and Dynat226. And another special shout out to our YouTube members: Greenridge Gaming, Kenton Young, Steve T, The Real Zeop, Chris Wallace, Turo12, Vinny, Lock Lorick, Matt Mollin, Becca Kinski Groupie, and the Johnny84. And lastly, a definite special shout out first of all to Lady Witchfox Art, who does all the amazing artwork for the channel, and to Xmorphic, who does all the background work for our Discord server, keeping everything there running smoothly, because I am completely computer illiterate. Thank you very much. But that's it for the video. Hope you enjoyed it. Please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe again. Stay safe, stay well, and most of all, keep fighting that war against the Grey. Ciao for now.